No, mute name. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, sir.
So let's start our class today. So in this class, we shall complete the total discussion on Bayesian classifier. We have started an introduction about this type of classification technique. As I told, the Bayesian classification technique is based on Bayes' theorem on probability. And then Bayes' theorem on probability can help us to calculate the reverse probability. So the idea here, how the Bayes theorem is applicable to the classification problem is, we have to calculate the probability that a given data belong to a class. So if there are m number of classes, therefore we shall be able to calculate m probability values, right? So that a test data, right, probability that a test data belongs to each class. So this is the concept. Now let's start how the Bayes theorem is applicable and how we can, right, calculate all those probability values that a given test data belongs to a particular class. Now, so Bayesian classifier considers two type of probability calculations. One is called prior probability calculation, another is posterior probability calculation. Actually, I am telling these new probabilities. This is because your data, we have learned that how the probability can be calculated for an event to occur. So here we will see exactly how event can be mapped to a test data. So in this regard, two probability calculations, namely prior probability and posterior probability, are very common. Now, here, let's see how these two probabilities are defined. Now here, prior probability, now here you see I have listed one table. This table contains two attributes. Now out of which one attribute is denoted as X and another attribute is Y. Actually, it is a very simple one test data set or training data set, whatever you can say. It is an example of a data set. And in this data set, only one attribute X and Y is the class attribute. I have already told you. So one attribute corresponding to the different attribute values, and the last attribute should be the class level. So as we see from in this table, there are two class levels, A and B. And then attribute X can have a range of values. Here in this example, the range of values are x1, x2, and x3. So for an example, if the first record have the attribute value x1, then it belongs to class Y. And then if the test record having the attribute value x3, then it belongs to class B, and so on. So this is the test data. Now, prior probability and posterior probability, how it can be calculated, that is what I want to discuss. So here PA and PB, if we denote, then you can understand what it does mean. So PA denotes what is the probability that a record is having class level A. Similarly, PB, what is the probability that if you choose any record, right, from this table, then it's probability that the record that you have chosen is, right, PB. So you can easily calculate what is the PA and what is the PB from the table itself, right? So here, for example, total number of records is 10, and out of 10, the number of records which are labeled with class Y equals to A is 5. So PA is equals to 5 by 10, that is the 0.5. Similarly, PB is also 0.5. So these two probability calculation is called the prior probability calculation. As you see, prior probability calculation with reference to class calculation only. So probability that a record belongs to this class. So here, this calculation, actually it is written like this. PA, it is same as P, that Y is equals to A. And this is 5 by 10, this is 0.5. So I hope PA, PB, which are prior probabilities, are understandable. Now let's see what is the posterior probability. Posterior probabilities in this context, there are two posterior probabilities calculation. One is that, okay, so let us consider the notation that we can use to represent the posterior probabilities. It is like PA given that B or PB given that A. It is just like, so you can understand posterior probability is nothing but conditional probability look like, because what is the probability that A occur given that B, and what is the probability that B occur given that A. Now here A and B does not necessarily that class level value, it is okay, just for notation only. Now in this example, we can denote a posterior probability like P x equals to xi. Xi can be x1, it can be x2 or x3, because there are three different values for the attribute x. So Px equals to x2. That means the attribute value is x2 given that y equals to a. So this calculation is very straightforward. From here, we have to first note down how many records are there for which y equals to a. We can see there are 5 records. Out of these 5 records, right, we can see x equals to x2, it qualify only 2. So here this one and this one. Okay, so 2. Therefore, the posterior probability, which is denoted as Px equals to x2, given that y equals to a, is equals to 2 by 5, that is equals to 0.4. And this way, we can calculate it other posterior probabilities like Px equals to x1, given that y equals to b, or like that one. Okay, so this way prior probability, there are prior probability you can understand, posterior probability you can understand for different attribute values, and then given that which class level you want to calculate depending on, there will be so many posterior probabilities are there. So these are the two probabilities. Is very important to understand how Bayes theorem is applied to calculate probability that a particular record belongs to a particular class. Okay, so now I can start the discussion that how Bayes theorem is applicable here. Now, again, consider there is a data set. The data set consists of a number of attributes by which each record is defined, and the last attribute is the class level. So here, let the attribute set x, and x has the n number of attributes, x1, x2, dot xn. And for each attribute xi, capital Xi, there is a value. And for an example, so this represents a record or a data. And for this data, it says that it belongs to class yi. And here you see, this is a vector. It has n component, and for each component, actually they are corresponding to the attribute values. So this way you have given, right? You have given a set of data, and then we now want to calculate if this is the data, what is the probability that it belongs to any class. Now this can be expressed as a class conditional probability. Okay, so this is the class conditional probability, which says like this: it probability that y equals to yi, given that this is the test data value, x1 equals to x1 and x2 equals to x2 and xn equals to xn. So given this is the value of the data, what is the probability that this data is belong to the class yi? These belong to the class yi. And this is eventually, you can understand, it is the posterior probability look like, or it is actually called the class condition probability. Now, this class condition probability can be calculated easily using the reverse probability according to Bayes' theorem. This reverse probability calculation according to Bayes' theorem I have discussed in the last class can be expressed like this. So Py given that x is equals to Px given that y in multiplied by Py. Now here this Py is the prior probabilities and this Pxy is the posterior probability. And in the denominator, this is the one probability Px. What is the probability that the x occurs in the table, right? So this is actually called the total probability. So this Px, total probability, can be calculated using this formula that also I have discussed in the last class. Now, for a given training data set, for any record, there is a probability. So if it is a balanced, right? Say suppose there is 100 records, then the probability that 100 records and then there may be high number of classes. Then and it is balanced, of course. If it is balanced, then this Px can be considered as a constant for any x, which is equals to 5 by 100 or 0.02. It is like that. So usually this denominator term, that is the total probability, can be considered as a constant. So what you can write, Pyx can be written as approximately, or we can write Py given that x is proportional to this value that is in the numerator. So that is why we can write Pyx is approximately is Pxy into Py. Now you note down Pyx is therefore not strictly a probability value, but it is actually an estimation of a probability value which has certain value, maybe in between 0 to 1, both inclusive. Now here, after so simplification, and this class condition probability can be expressed in terms of this is the posterior probability and this is the prior probability. Now here, prior probability that a class belong to a particular class level can be easily calculated from the given training data set, as I have already given an example, so that how prior probability can be calculated. Py equals to A, Py equals to B, Py equals to C, if A, B, C are the 3 different class levels. And then again, the posterior probability that for a given test data with x values, as you see, x is a vector, so x equals to x1, x equals to x2, x equals to x3, dot x equals to x1, and given that y, that means this will also be possible to calculate based on the posterior probability calculation that we have discussed. Now, if we have these two probabilities calculation, then we shall be able to calculate what is the probability that this data x is belong to the class y. That's all. So this is the probability calculation, and this probability calculation is therefore Bayes theorem and probability, and this probability calculation for any test data belong to any class level, that is quite easily possible. Now let us consider an example so that you can understand about it. Now before that, how this probability calculation is useful to classify a given test data. So definitely we shall be able to get the different probability calculation for the same test data belongs to different class level. And out of these probability values, we have to take the maximum probability values which says that this belongs to a particular class. So if py equals to yi has the higher value than any value py equals to yj for the same test data set X, then we can say that the data set X has the strong probability that it belongs to class yi. Therefore, we can say that the test data is belong to class yi. So this is the probabilistic calculation for the data, and that is the Bayesian classifier. Now, let us consider one example so that we can understand this concept better. I can again recall you the training data. Okay, one example, air traffic data we gave. We discussed in the last, right? Last class we have discussed the air traffic data. Here, this is the air traffic data. This data is defined with 4 attributes: days, season, fog, and rain. And then class is the class level. And as you see, the days are with, right, 4 different values: the weekday, holiday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Season has different values: spring, winter, summer, autumn. Fog has the 3 different values: none, high, normal. Rain has none, slight, or heavy. Class, there are 4 class level: cancel, on time, late, very late. So these are the definition of the data that we have discussed so far the air traffic data is concerned. Now for this data, so if this is the training data set that you have given and you have to build a probabilistic model, then how we can build it and what is the model actually it looks like. Now let's again come back to the previous discussion here. Now first, as I told you, you have to calculate all posterior probabilities and all prior probabilities that is there. Now prior probabilities calculation is very simple. There are total 20 data that is present in the training data set. Out of these 20 data, what we see that 14 records are belong to class on time. 2 records are belong to class late. 3 records are belong to class very late, and 1 record belong to class cancelled. And therefore we can calculate prior probability that any record belong to class on time. What is the probability? It will give you 0.70. So this is the one prior probability. The second probability corresponding to the second class level, and third prior probability corresponding to the third class level, and this is the fourth prior probability that belong to the fourth class level. Now scanning the entire table once, all these 4 prior probabilities value can be readily calculated. It's very easy, right? Now let's come to the calculation of posterior probability. Now here, one table that we can maintain to calculate all the posterior probabilities values. For example, so this is the one posterior probability calculation. Now let's see what this means. This implies that 14 records are there which are belongs to on time. Out of these 14, 9 records are there for which day is weekday. Now there are total number of records belong to this class is 2, and out of these 2 records, the days attributes is equals to weekday is 1, so it is 0.5, and so on. So posterior probability therefore can be calculated for each attribute values. Right here, for the day has 4 attribute, so 4 posterior probability value. For season, there are 4 different season values, so 4 different posterior probability values. For fog, there are 3 different attribute values and 3 different posterior probability calculation for on time. Similarly, rain has 3 different attribute values, and with reference to on time, the 3 posterior values can be calculated. Similarly, the posterior values for the different attribute values with reference to each class level can be calculated. And we can maintain a table. So if this table has A1 attributes with N1 number of attribute values, then A2 attributes with N2 number of attribute values, and ... AK attributes has the NK number of attribute values. So number of rows to store all the probability calculation is N1 into N2 into N3 into ... into NK. This is pretty simple, right? So this is the size of the contingency table that we can calculate, and then we can maintain only once. So this is a one-time job. Okay, given the training data set, we can scan the entire data set once, and then we can populate the value into the contingency table, which will store all posterior probabilities there. So this is the contingency table. I hope you could understand how the posterior probabilities can be stored in this table, and how many rows are there, and how to define it. Number of columns, as you see, the number of columns are the same as the total number of class level. So in this case, 4. And at the end of this table, we can store the 4 prior probabilities values. So it is very easy. Now let's see with these values how we can calculate probabilities that a given test data belongs to a particular class. So this is the example here. Say suppose this is your training data, test data. The test data said that day has the value weekday, season is the winter, and fog is high, and then rain is heavy. So we have to predict that this data belongs to which class. So we can consider, first of all, what is the probability that this data belongs to on-time class. So here, this is the prior probability 0.70 that a record belong to on time, and this is the posterior probability that the day is weekday, and it is the posterior probability that the season is winter, and it is the posterior probability that fog is high, and it is the posterior probability that rain is heavy. I can again go to here. So this is the prior probability that day is on time, and day is weekday. So weekday is 0.64, and season is winter, it is 0.14, and then fog is high, it is 0.29, and then rain is heavy, 0.7. So these are the posterior probabilities used to calculate this one. So this will give you, this is the class condition, class probability. That means this record is belong to the class on time, this probability is 0.0013. Similarly, the probability that this record is belong to the class late, that also can be calculated. This is the prior probability that the record belong to the class late, and this is the posterior probability that it is belong to the class late and day is weekday, the season is winter, and fog is high, and then rain is. This will calculate the class probability. Similarly, for the very late also we can see, and then cancel also we can find it. So for all 4 classes, we could calculate what is the class probability that a particular record belong to that class. Now, out of all these class probabilities, we see this has the highest value, 0.222. So this suggests that this record belong to the class very late, because it has the strong probability, and that is actually the answer. So this Bayesian classifier will tell that the class level for this data is very late. Okay, now this is the procedure, and you may have another question is that if 2 probability calculation have the same value, then definitely you can take any one, because they are both possibilities. So that is actually any one class you can predict. So in that case, although it is ambiguity, but it is like this only, but it is unlikely that 2 calculations give you the same probability values. So this is the idea how Bayesian classifier works. Now, in a formal statement, we can tell the algorithm. So this is the learning algorithm, so that a classification model can be learned. And as you see, for every model, as I told, that there are model parameters. And what are the model parameters? Right? The model parameters are the prior probabilities and posterior probabilities, which can be stored, because there are so many model parameters, so that we can store all those model parameters values into a contingency table, which is like this one. So these are all model parameters. All prior probabilities and posterior probabilities calculation are the model parameters. Now, so model parameter, and what is the classification model? And this is the classification model. Now, this classification model tells you the probability that a particular record like this is a record which belongs to a particular class Ci. So this is the model, right? So this is the model, and then you can see this model is expressed in terms of this is the prior probability and this is the posterior probability for j equals to 1 to n for each attribute. Now here I should say it is like this. If your training data, right, with n attributes, and for a test data for which the attribute value is given there, so here we have to calculate the posterior probability for each attribute aj, for which their corresponding value that is given in the data is equals to ag, and then that is the ci. So this is the, right, these are the posterior probabilities for the class level ci, given a data value that is there, right? And then it will give you the probability or class probability for each class, and then say if there are k number of classes are there, C1, C2, Ck, all those things, then out of these probability calculations, we have to take the max value. So max value, say it is Px is the max value that is actually for the class Cx, like, then this actually x will tell you that it belongs to the class. So here Cx is the prediction that your record is belong to this class Cx. That's okay. So learning algorithm is also very simple. As you see, only one step. Input is, you can understand, input is the training data set with n records, like, and each data is defined with certain number of attributes, and all data are mutually exhaustive and exclusive so far their class level is concerned. That's all. So this way only it matters how prior probability and posterior probability can be calculated. And this is the Bayesian classifier. It is so simple, easy. Now, the good point is that Bayesian classifier works very well. It usually gives very accurate result, but there are two very serious limitations. One limitation is that all the attributes are defined with categorical values. As you can see in the example that we have discussed, days, weekdays, they are categorical values. Then the season also categorical values, fog categorical values, rain categorical values. So they are all categorical values. And based on these categorical values, we could calculate easily the count, that how many a particular category value occurs in a table. That gives you your posterior probability or prior probability calculation. So if it is categorical, this kind of posterior probability as well as prior probability calculation become easy. And that is why, so if you have given a training data with categorical attributes, then without any second thought, you can apply this data set and then build the model according to the Bayesian classifier and predict it. Because no other learning algorithm or classification techniques can match with the Bayesian classifier if the data is given to the categorical. First of all, there are many classification techniques also not applicable to categorical attributes. For example, support vector machine, you cannot apply because support vector machine is applicable to only numerical attributes. So this is a problem so far the Bayesian classifier, because in many real life application, if your training data that is given to you are defined with not categorical but non-categorical, say numerical or other nominal attribute, then what to do? So this is the problem, and we'll seek an idea about that how, if the data is not categorical, not with categorical attributes, how we can apply Bayesian classifier. Anyway, so this is a problem, of course. And the second problem is very serious problem. If the data is not balanced, balance means the data should be given in such a way that all sample values should have significant amount of each categorical attribute values that is possible. If a particular categorical value is not present in your training data set corresponding to this non-present categorical values, the posterior probability calculation, it will give 0. And one posterior probability value, if it is 0, because of the class probability is a product of posterior probabilities, then whatever be the other posterior probabilities, maybe they are very large values, but because of this criminal values, it can give you total 0 value. So this estimate very wrongly actually. So here for an example, in this example as we see, so this is the prior probability and here the posterior probability for two attributes for which it says that fog is high, and in the training data set there is no data for which fog is high. That means we didn't collect any data when the fog is high or any data when it is not fog, it is day is weekday actually. Day is weekday, but it belongs to the class cancel, and days and it is season is winter. So there is no data belong to day weekday and season is winter for the class cancelled. As a consequence, these two probability calculations are with 0 values, and because of the presence of 0 and they are in product, so this gives to 0. So here, for example, you chosen one data in such a way that this becomes 0. Then whatever be the large values, and this will give you the 0. So this is definitely not the correct estimation. So this is a very critical problem on so far the Bayesian classification technique is concerned, and therefore people have addressed this problem. So addressing the first problem, that means if the data that is given to you is not categorical, let it be numerical, and better also can consider that numerical even, but in the continuous attributes. So there are two approaches. The first approach is is a discretization approach. For example, age is one attribute. Now age can have any continuous values 1 to 100, and therefore so the range of values is 1 to 100, and let it be only integer value. Okay, 1, 2, 3 up to 100, whatever age values are there. So now we can discretize these age values into categorical, right? Possibly you can remember while I was discussing the data categorization topic, I told that numerical attribute can be converted into a categorical attribute. But there is a loss of information. I can tell again one example, age. We can convert this age into 3 discrete levels. For example, young, middle-aged, and aged. Say 1 to 20, they are belong to young categorical value, and then 21 to say 40, they are belong to middle aged, and then 51 to 100 we can label them to age. So this way the numerical attributes can be converted into categorical value. Here 3 level, you can make it to 5 level also. More discretization, more accurate, less discretization, more loss of information. Loss of information because, so for age, old, right? So there 51 is also old and 100 is also old. So there is less preciseness so far the data is concerned, but it works then. Then if we can do this kind of pre-processing, changing the attributes values from the numerical type to categorical, and then corresponding value we can put into the table, and this table therefore is useful so far Bayesian classification technique is concerned. So this is the approach one. This is possibly the very simple approach, but this approach, as I said, that there is a information loss, so it may not give so much accurate result. So this is the approach one. Now next see approach 2. Now let us again consider that given an attribute, say A, and this A attribute has a range of values, right? And this range of values in a continuous domain. Okay, say salary earned. Salary can be any values from 10K to say it is 100K, like any value means any decimal value including. So it is a continuous distribution. Now here what we can do, we can apply the Gaussian, right, distribution into this, assuming that your data is normally distributed. As I said again, all data usually in many real life application is the normal, they follow normal distribution. And for this attribute A, for all values that is given there is a univariate value. So you can easily calculate mean and variance from these attribute values. Let this mean is mu and then variance is sigma square. So once this mean and variance is known, you will be able to calculate the Gaussian probability that any attribute value x, what is the probability that it is. So it will give you, this is a probability value of a random variable actually for the attribute value x. So this can be calculated readily using this formula. That is fine. So you shall be able to calculate the probability that an attribute value is equals to x, given that the A attribute has the set of values in a continuous domain having mean mu and variance sigma square. So this is the clue that you can apply it. Now let's see how this calculation will be useful to calculate posterior probabilities for any attribute values belongs to any class level. So here is the formula that you can use it. Say suppose we want to calculate what is the posterior probability that an attribute value is for attribute aj. So let this x is the attribute value and aj is the attribute. So for this aj attribute, this is the x, and with reference to class ci, we want to calculate this is the posterior probability. Like day is equals to weekday and then class is on time. It is like this. So this again can be used the Gaussian distribution formula. Here you can see mu ij. So here mu ij will consider only those set of values belongs to this attribute aj, and that is to belong to the class ci. So mu I denotes that all the values which are belong to the class level ci and for the attribute j. So mu ij will be calculated for those set of values, and then similarly sigma ij also can be calculated for those set of values. So for each class level ci, right, we have to take the record for the attribute aj, and for those set of values we have to calculate mu ij as well as sigma ij square. And once these values is calculated for any given value x, we shall be able to calculate this probability value using the Gaussian normal distribution. And this will give you the posterior probability. Thus, we shall be able to apply the Bayesian classification technique even the data is also not categorical, rather numerical. But there is a little bit computationally expensive because so many calculation needs to be done. But if the computational time is not an issue, then it is good. So that is why Bayesian probability, Bayesian classifier is also equally applicable to both categorical as well as numerical attributes. Now the second limitations, that if a sufficient sample value is not there, it is quite possible that the training data that you have obtained, you have given, you have provided, there may be, okay, it is not that balanced data. That balanced data means there may be some attributes for which some values are missing. And if a particular attributes does not contain all possible values of attribute, then it may gives a zero calculation so far. The posterior probability calculation is concerned, and if it occurs for a particular class level, then for that class level, the class probability calculation will give us zero probability value. That is not desirable. To address this problem, there is an approach is known, and it is called the aim estimate approach. Now let's see what is the aim estimate approach is. This aim estimate approach will help us to, again, this is a mistake here, it should be posterior probability. Okay, it is not correct, it is a posterior probability, there is a typing mistake. So aim estimate for a posterior probability calculation, which is stated using this formula here, we need few input values. The first input value is called the n. As it is mentioned there, n is the total number of instances which are belong to class ci. So from the data table, we shall be able to calculate this n value, it is there, right? If it is balanced, total 100 and 5 classes, then n may be 20. That is like, so n can be obtained from the training data set easily. So n is the total number of records having a particular class level, say ci. And here we are to calculate posterior probability with reference to class ci therefore. So for different class level, the n values can be different, that you can calculate easily. Next is another parameter, it is called the NCI. It denotes that total number of training data set from class ci takes the value aj equals to x. Actually for a sample, right, x, which is not present in the training data, but we want to calculate the posterior probability for that, what will be the NCI, which may be 0 for your cases, because if it does not there any value. Anyway, so this is NCI, it can be very low, including 0. And then AM, it is the size of the sample. 100 may be size of the sample, for example. And P is a user specified parameter, right? It can be 0.5 in safer side. If you are very restrictive, then you can take it is very close to 0, say 0.001 or 0.01. And if it is very liberal, you can take very high value, depends on. So this actually P signifies that if a sample value does not present, then a default, what will be the probability value that it can be taken into account. So that we can say it is a default posterior probability in case a particular sample value having a particular attribute value is not present in the training data set. So it is P. So this P value can be decided by empirical experiment, that means trial and error method. And then finally, so we can start with 0.5 and then reducing in a lower side as well as increasing the higher side also it can be chosen. But anyway, so 0.5 is the standard practice usually the people follow. Now here an example, if n equals to 0, as I said that there is no record, right, belong to the class CI, then there is no training data available, which has the class level CI. Then, so it is n equals to 0, m can be any value, this is 0 and NCI has to be 0, right? And in that case, you see MP by M, that will give you equals to P. So this is the one worst situation. And under this worst situation, instead of this posterior probability giving 0, right, it will give you a P value that is 0.5. So this way, we can get rid of the second limitation, it is there. Only here problem is that how judiciously you can take this value P. Otherwise, you can live happily with your training data even if it is not balanced. So this is the idea of the Bayesian classification technique altogether. And I have discussed in details with limitations and then remedy for each limitations also there. Now, few examples is better to study so that you can understand. I give 2 case studies for your further study so that you can take your own time and then study of your own here. And this is another example. Here you see this is the class level. This class level has only no and yes. It is a binary class classification problem. And it has 4 attributes. So this is the 4 attributes. Age is the 1 attributes. As I said, age is the numerical attributes. And here I intentionally gave a discretization using this formula. So age less than equals to 30, let it be A1. And then 31 to 40, it is A2. And greater than 40, it is C. So these are the 3 different level of values that we can have in this data. Okay, so this is the one attribute sets age. And here this is the categorical attributes having 3 different values like low, medium, and high. So income is low, income is medium, income is high. Also, it can be given to a continuous domain also. In that case, you could easily apply the approach, the second approach to deal with the continuous domain also, it is here. Okay, anyway, so I made intentionally with a categorical value, but otherwise I could change this table with some continuous domain value also. Now here, student category, here yes or no, whether the customer is a student or no student. So there are only 2 values. So it is binary attributes. And then credit rating, here is also categorical attribute. So fair, excellent, that is okay, only 2 different values, fair and excellent like. And then the commission will be given or not, that is actually the class level, 2 class level it is there. So it is actually the customer can buy yes or no, it is like that. So here as you see, C1 and C2 are the 2 class level, yes and no in this example. And then attributes are defined with 4 different attributes: age, income, student, and credit rating, as mentioned here. And one test data that is given to you like this: age is less than equals to 30, so it is age is equals to SA. Income is medium, student is ES, credit rating is 4. So this is the value of the attributes that is there for a given test data, and we want to predict that this test data belongs to which class, C1 or C2, yes or no. So here again, the contingency table you can easily calculate. I have just mentioned the contingency table here, storing all the posterior probabilities for all classes. So it is here PXCI. So that also in the previous example that I told you that, okay, one contingency table with here. So for age, there are 3 different values. For income, it is 3. For student, 2. So 3 into 3 into 2 into 2, right? So total 36 rows are there. So 36 rows will include all posterior probabilities with reference to for each class and each attribute values. So those things are there, but here I have mentioned only those posterior probabilities belong to this test data, it is there. So I didn't include here, although your contingency table can include all posterior probability calculation. Now I just want to test for this test data, which is the class. So I can see whether PX, whether it is belong to the class C1 or not. That means, so this is actually the probability that it is X and then by customer ES, right? I want to calculate it, and this is the posterior, this is the prior probability that this record X is belong to the class ES, and these are the posterior probability it is there. And this calculation gives you 0.044, right? And similarly for the no class, it is 0.019. So this is the different posterior probability and prior probability calculation. And then we shall be able to calculate what is the class probability that it belongs to the class yes, and what is the class probability that it belongs to the class no. So 0.028, 0.007. Therefore, your conclusion is that this record is belong to the class yes. So this is a simple example which you can try of your own. I have given a solution, but anyway, you should try of your own. And then this way you can have the training data. If you can write a program in Python, you can test it easily, or even in the Python also, Bayesian classification algorithm is also there. You can write, take the algorithm there, and then aim estimate approach as well as Gaussian normal distribution probability for posterior probability calculation also you can use it. All those libraries are there automatically. So writing program or implementing Bayesian classifier using any programming environment, particularly Python, is not the big job. Even in the R programming also you can do it. So this is one example for your hands-on practice, right? I told you there is another example here. So here again it is a binary class classification problem, and this is the class level, whether golf play will be there or not. So again 2 class, yes or no. And again it is an example having the categorical attributes again. Weather is the one attributes, temperature, humidity and windy. So there are 4 attributes, and for weather the rainy, overcast, sunny. These are the only 3 different values. And for temperature, hot, mild, cold. And for humidity, high, normal. These are the only 2. And then windy, false or true, only the binary attributes are there. Okay. Now, so here 14 records are given as a training data set. So your task is to calculate a probability that if this is the training data set is given, whether play golf is yes or no, that we have to check it for this training data, right? So what you can do is that you can build a contingency table storing all posterior probabilities and all prior probabilities for this training data set, and this is your model parameter. And based on your model parameter, the model is to calculate class probability that a particular record, this record, belongs to a particular class, and which has the highest value, that will be the prediction for that class. So this is the two case studies that I have given to you, and you can try of your own. I hope you have understood the concept. And so Bayesian classifier is easy to understand actually, and it has this very simple application of Bayes' theorem on probability, which calculates the reverse probability, and how it can be applied to calculate the class probability. That is a more concern that you have to learn it. That's all for my today's presentation is concerned. And if you want to understand much more about Bayesian classification from any book, there are two books. The second book is very good. That is the Introduction to Data Mining, Steenbij, Bipin Kumar from Addison Wesley, where so many good discussion on many classification techniques are there. There is also another good book in the field of data mining. It is from the GUI Han and Camber, right? So that is also very good book to learn, particularly machine learning algorithms. Whatever the machine learning algorithms I'm discussing, they are mainly from these two books only. Okay, that's fine. If you have any question, so please unmute your microphone and so tell what is your question. It is there. Okay, I can take few question. So if you have any question, please.